different things. You were talking about trading strategies, but all of these things, we have to learn them step by step, and in order to employ it. It's not just data that's all over the place, right?
Exactly.
Like,
So
yeah.
I'll just to quickly recap what I was just saying. A very, very simplistic example of a straight trading strategy that you might employ in the beginning of the game would be there is some wisdom in the financial world that the trend is your friend. That as something is going up, it is more likely than not to continue going up, and as something is going down, it is more likely than not to continue going down. So now that we've unlocked this 7-day simple moving average indicator, as you can see here, we can use that to establish how the trend is changing in the stock. So in the last few days, we can see that it has been starting to trend downward. So using this strategy, we would wait before investing further, and it's narrowing out, but it's still trending down. And now we see that it's just now coming up, and it's just now starting an upward trend. So maybe we should buy and see where that takes us.
Yeah.
So we can use this little slider here and buy with half of our current assets or all of it. Let's go all. Why not? And as you can see, it's plateaued a little bit, but we have made a little bit of money. No, we're losing money now. Doesn't always work. But as I said...
But the steps are individual days, correct? So
exactly, individual trading days. Yes.
So it's going to be ultimately about maximizing profits, but day to day, there's always going to be...
fluctuations, yes. And that's another great point, because you have to look at how the data has, because I was just looking at the latest little hump in this simple moving average. Part of learning about all these concepts is understanding. You have to look at the totality of all of the data that you have to try to make these inferences. I mean, for all we know, it could be the year 2008 right now, and the economy is
yeah.
So we
should sell.
Yes, we have no idea, but that's what this game tries to do at first is extract any of that context that you normally associate with investing, and make it about just looking at pattern recognition, just looking at technical indicators.
Gotcha. So how much data will we be able to see about these? Like ultimately, as you move throughout the game, obviously we're going to be building bots based out of this stock data. How much data are we going to have access to?
Yeah,
if you could maybe...
Of course, yeah. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to jump ahead to the end, right? What is right now the game, where you've unlocked everything. You've gone up this upgrade tree and you've unlocked everything. And there's a special little button just for me that I'm not going to share with any of you that lets me do that instantly.
Up, down, up, down.
Up, down, yeah, exactly. Up, down, be a red star, yeah. And here you can see that we have a lot of stuff. We have a brush that lets us zoom in to different periods of time within our asset. It's been revealed to us that Alphabet, Google, i.e. Google, is our mystery stock that we had been trading on this whole time.
Is that the stock that's not the stock that you're trading on throughout the whole game, right? It changes?
It changes. There are more than 5,000 different stocks that you are given at random. Yep. And some of them last up to periods of 40 or 50 years. And when one stock ends, you're simply given another random one. And we can now see what the trading price is. We can now see that it is 2014. It was not 2008. Because again, not only are you given a random stock, you're given a randomized start point within that stock. So it really tries to take you out of any kind of context, contextual thinking for investing. It's a really good exercise in that sense.
Yeah.
And we have just a plethora of these indicators that look very, very intimidating, but when you look at them individually one by one, really aren't that bad. Take we talked about the simple moving averages. There's also something called an exponential moving average. And then we have our external indicators, MACD, stochastic. And again, over the course of the game, you'll have the opportunity. It's not strictly necessary. If you want to just, ignore them too and try your luck, you're welcome to do that. But you'll have the opportunity to learn all about these individual indicators. And once you do, earn money for your trouble of taking the quizzes to prove that you have a grasp on how these work. We also have housing starts, industrial production, the S&P 500 index, unemployment. I mean, anything that you could possibly imagine here, in order to, again, this really fills out all of the pieces of the puzzle that you need to use just data to make inferences as to what's going to happen in the future.
So I was about to say that. So I'm learning how to read and intake all this data and see its correlation and look at that. Yep. So then what am I doing with it? What do I use the data for?
Well, it depends on what mode you're in. I mean, in the most simple mode that we've kind of been in, it's just been you manually buying and selling. And then you saying, okay, well, I have this suspicion that housing starts, as housing starts go up, it's a good sign for the economy. So I'm going to take that into consideration and weigh that a little bit more in my trading strategy than I would if housing starts were going down, or whatever the variable that you choose or that you think is going to be the most consequential here. But really where the game shines and sets itself apart from a lot of other stock sims is in its automation. And once you unlock an indicator like Ishimoku, it's not only that you can see what the Ishimoku is, it's that you can...
Can I pause you, Chris, really quick? Can you, if you can move my people from the things, I'm covering up...
Oh, you're covering up the things. Oh, my goodness.
I know a lot of people are here to watch me.
Yeah, you're in the way.
I want to make sure that I'm in the way.
Yeah, we're going to just...
I'm a better door than window.
We're gonna make you real small right there.
I already feel small.
Oh. All right, we're going to put you right next to me.
Perfect.
A little bit smaller than me, but right there. All right, perfect. So, so once you unlock the Ishimoku cloud, which is an indicator used in investing, not only have you unlocked the ability to see it visually, you've unlocked the ability to use each individual component of the Ishimoku in a bot that you make all your own. Before we jump into that, those are all demarcated into this menu right here, the one with the little robot. And there are 4 milestones, automation milestones in this game. The first is limit stop. So we're all in basic mode. We're going to go in limit stop. Limit stop gives you the ability to say, okay, if the stock falls below this price, then automatically buy it. And this becomes useful once you're able to sim forward, because before you saw me kind of clicking and incrementing the day one at a time. Now we're moving 1 day per second into the future. Ultimately, depending on the speed or the proficiency of your computer, we can go up to 1,500 days per second. During that time, we can have passive robots that you create making all of the trades on your behalf. And you can just kind of sit back, relax, and watch this, or just go get a cup of coffee and hopefully watch your net worth skyrocket.
If for some reason, if I build the bot and it doesn't, and instead I lose all my money, is there a way to go back and tweak the bot and...
Oh, absolutely.
Try again?
Yeah, this game, I wouldn't necessarily call it a roguelite by any means, but it's really run based. So you're expected to fail. You're expected to lose all your money. In the case of this game, it's called being margin called, which you'll learn all about. And once that happens, you just restart your run. And once you restart a run, you start from zero, but you get to keep all of the money that you've earned from taking quizzes and from learning about what an Ishimoku cloud is, for example.
So it's like you get to have your 10,000 hours learning the stock market without worrying about actually losing money.
Exactly.
That's great.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's a little bit like Dark Souls. It's probably going to be like demoralizing at first because you're buying it and then it's going down. You lose all your money, and you just restart, and eventually you'll overcome. And there are all sorts of different mechanics within the game where you can bank funds so that you can have more money on future runs and stuff like that. It's very much has sort of roguelike DNA in it, and idle DNA as well, as you can see from just kind of simming forward and waiting for your bots to attack, essentially. So a limit stop is, I don't know that I would call it a bot, but it is a form of automation in the stock market. Very, very simply, it says if the stock falls below a certain threshold, which you can define right here, or it goes above a certain threshold, which again you can define here, the trade will be made on your behalf. You don't actually have to press the button or click the button to do that. So if I'm thinking, okay, Alphabet is going to go down to 520 and then it's going to shoot up, I'll just say, okay, put in a buy order at 520 or 525, and I'm going to go get a cup of coffee, and it'll make your buy order for you. It'll make your buy order for you, and I can just relax. And you can make up to 5 of these limit orders, and it's kind of the very first simplistic version of automation in this game. The next step up from that is simple bots. So a simple bot allows you to make kind of if-then nested conditional statements. And again, I think it's important to understand that you need no programming for any of this to work. No programming background. It's designed even for the advanced bots that programming is not necessary. So I think I mentioned earlier that a very simple trading strategy is the whole trend is your friend thing, right? So right here we have an if statement, and we have all of these different indicators that we've unlocked, including the Ishimoku, the Tenkan-sen, and the Kiju-sen of the Ishimoku, once you learn what those are. But because I already explained what a simple moving average is, let's use that. And we can say that if the 10-day simple moving average today is greater than the 10-day simple moving average from 5 days ago by a factor of 3%, in other words, if it is trending upwards, right, then we buy, and that's what an entry refers to. An entry refers to a buy. And again, there's endless complexity here, but it can be also shorted, which I don't know that we have time for me to explain what that is. It's basically an inversion. If you're shorting something, you're betting against it, essentially.
You make money when the stock loses money.
Precisely. But you'll learn about all of the dangers inherent within that, because theoretically, a stock could keep rising in value indefinitely, which means that you could lose an infinite amount of money, theoretically. Whereas if you buy a stock, the lowest it can go is 0. A stock can't go below 0 in value. So it is a much riskier proposition. And, Dark Souls, you'll get margin called. Yeah, there you go. So let's go ahead and save this entry. And then let's do the exact same thing for our exit. If our 10 days simple moving average 5 days ago is greater than our 10-day simple moving average today by a factor of 3%, we're going to sell it. And we are going to let the bot handle all of this, and we're going to make that active so that our new simple bot is active, and then we can go get a cup of coffee, while this goes forward, and it will put in trades for us, just like that.
I mean, you say we can get a cup of coffee, but also, I mean, is there things to be learned from watching it?
Absolutely.
As it goes?
I mean, debugging your bot is extremely important. And trying to figure out, okay, well, in this situation, I don't want it to be buying, or in this situation, I don't want it to be selling, because, you know, look at the housing starts. You know, this rule only should work if housing starts are going down, but wait, housing starts are going up. So you have to go back and you have to modify the rule, and you have to say, hey, okay, if that's happened and if housing starts have gone down, and that's how you see housing right here. If the housing today is less than the housing from, 3 days ago or yesterday or whatever, if housing is trending down. So you can build your own trading strategy based on all of these variables with almost limitless complexity.
And just put them to the test
And
endlessly.
exactly. So in finance, this is called back testing. If you have a trading strategy, if you're like, I'm convinced that the MACD line is inversely correlated to the Ishimoku cloud, and this is I've found the alchemy formula for how to make money in the stock market using technical analysis. Quants in finance basically put this to the test and run it on historical data to see if it actually passes the test, if it actually works. This game is an abstraction of that. This game really just is a sandbox of back testing economic principles in markets, where you test your own trading strategies and you back test it on real data, and you have the confidence that you have in your trading strategy grows. You're going to make tons of mistakes. You're going to...
Well, but we have a lot of people joining us right now. I just want to reiterate that for as complex as this looks, if you're just joining us, all of these principles are learned throughout. There's the learn and earn button. Underneath.
It starts off really simple. There's a slow learning curve. It's not nearly as complicated as I mean, honestly, like, you tested this not too long ago, Drew. You picked it up pretty quick. It's designed for a person like me when I started this out, who had no idea what even how to read candlestick charts, the most basic financial tool. So it escalates like this, and the purpose was that you have to really prove your competency and familiarity with each of these concepts before you continue in the upgrade tree. Because right now, I'm just showing you what the game is at the very end. But for those of us just joining, at the very beginning, it's very bare bones, and you work up to all of that complexity through the upgrade tree and through learning and earning different concepts.
Can we push the complexity a little bit more? Because I know, we've got about 20 minutes left. I'd love to see, we looked at simple bots. How far can we push it?
Glad you asked. You can push it really far.
Cool.
This is called advanced bots. So this right here took more time to develop and build than pretty much 2 times the rest of the game. This is a completely custom-built, node-based, flow-based editor, where you need no programming in order to manufacture any of these bots. And this is the sandbox where you're going to create your most sophisticated, most detailed trade bots. So it's November 21st, 2019. We have BioNTech SE. Again, you can ignore this or hide it if you really want to keep with the whole idea of remaining.
I just clocked what company this was.
They're
going to have a good couple of years.
Exactly.
Sorry.
So if you don't want to cheat, you have the option to do that. I mean, you work up to actually seeing what the name of the company is and all of that. But we've been talking a lot about how trend is your friend. It's a good, because it's the most superficial, simplistic example of a bot. So here we have an example of that bot. We have the simple moving average today at a period of 10 days, so the average of the last 10 days, and then the simple moving average of the last 10 days, but 5 days ago, going into an if statement. If A is greater than B by more than 2%, then we buy it. Otherwise, if the inverse is true, if the simple moving average from 5 days ago is greater than the simple moving average from today by a factor of 2%, we sell. It's exactly the same thing that we did with our simple bot, but now we see it working with our advanced bots. So let's go ahead and instead of stepping ahead once we, part of debugging this, as we step ahead, we see what the values were for this day. So we just simulated November 22nd, and on November 22nd, simple moving average was 19.31. The simple moving average 5 days ago was 18.36. That is indeed more than 2% greater, so our bot, as you can see here, triggered a buy order. And because the inverse was not true, as you can see with this kind of blurred thing with false, no sell order was triggered, and we have a log where we say, okay, a market trade was placed for $19.68. And it's so much money because I'm in a debug sandbox environment to kind of show you guys how it's going. And within this this bot editor, we have all manner of tools to, let's go one day at a time. We can see our gains or our losses over time. As you can see, this is doing fairly well. Even though this is an extremely simplistic strategy, it seems to be rather effective. And we can see, the details right here. And, obviously a lot of cells are being triggered right now, etc. And we have, let me go through all of the different nodes that you can add within here. We have just limitless complexity. I don't know where to even begin to kind of explain, but here you can connect to all of your advanced indicators, like Ishimoku has come up a lot, so we can get Ishimoku is broken up into 4 different parts, like the Kijūsen. We can get the Kijūsen, we can use that in the calculus of trying to figure out this perfect trading bot. We have all of these operations, or logic gates, math. So you can say if this, if that, or if this is true, or if that is true, etc. We have variables, and then if this wasn't enough complexity for you, we even have neural networks. I mean, that's
Wow.
kind of nuts. So we have the ability for you to train a neural network based on input data that you define within your bot. So you can choose this network output, and you can say, all right, I'm training, I'm convinced, as I said before, that the MACD line is inversely correlated to the Kijūsen Ishimoku. You can just, but if you don't necessarily know how, or you don't necessarily know how to quantify that relationship, you can just throw it all into a neural network. Ishimoku, Kijūsen, output, and then of course we need the price to be there as well. So basic indicator, the close price, because that's what we're trying to predict. Neural networks take in a bunch of different inputs and then try to predict one singular output. So we're taking in Kijun, and we're also going to take in, I don't even remember what the other one I said was, but let's say MACD line, and we're taking in Ishimoku Kijun and MACD line, and we're asking the neural network to be trained on all of this data as we sim forward so that it can try to predict the close based solely on these two variables. And then once
But again, I just want to underline, we're an educational games company. So I, as a layman, am astounded by this. But like, what's amazing is that people who play this game will understand how to do this. Like, the whole point is putting it all together.
Right. And again, no one is expected to understand all of this stuff off the get-go. I mean, you learn and take quizzes about how a neural network works. They're being used more in finance. I thought it would be cool to include them. So, by the way,
very cool.
We have 19 data points here in our neural network. We can then train it, and then we can then use that neural network that we've trained in tandem with our bots, or just as the bot itself. Whatever you want to do. The ultimate goal of the game is to just keep climbing the ladder of the upgrade tree. You go to crypto and you go to ETF, and you can share all of these bots with the community. So you can export this bot that we just made. I just downloaded it as a trade bot file, and you can send that to your buddy, and or you can post it online in the community hub and say, I think I'm onto something. How about some other people try this, and you can try it, and you can import other bots as well, and you can see how those work. And again, you're just gamifying this whole concept of backtesting.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And then ultimately, we hope down the line, depending on various factors, to support the ability to export these bots so that you can use them in the real world in some form or another, once you really have developed the confidence in understanding the underlying concepts and how your bot is functioning and working. Recently, like we've seen a lot more independence when it comes to finance, and people, kind of going away from your traditional financial advisor and kind of taking it upon themselves to kind of learn the market more. I think that's awesome. I think understanding the ins and outs of something so important that is so influential on your future is super practical and admirable. So being a part of that kind of movement excites me as well.
It's really it's empowering for someone like me too. That it feels like it can demystify a process that feels
intentionally. It feels like almost intentionally obfuscated and complicated, and you can have fun, you can learn, and it's tremendously satisfying to be able to build a bot like this and let it run overnight or whatever, and just wake up and have either have gone bankrupt or have hundreds of billions of dollars.
Yeah, that honestly sounds pretty gratifying.
Yeah.
So we have about 10 minutes left. Do we want to just start the game from the beginning and sort of do a quick little demo that way?
Sure.
Or should we play around? Also, if you have questions about any of this, please throw it in the chat. We'd be happy to talk about it.
And parenthetically,
or if you want to see anything else,
I'll just show you can see all the trades that our bot has made over the past several days. We can start over from scratch, and we can do it that way.
I mean, we can keep building on this too. It's very fun once you have the tools.
I know it's so different because, on one hand, I want to show off all the cool stuff, all the crazy bot stuff, but at the same time, I worry that people are like, oh my god, I'm never going to be able to understand this. But you are going to be able to understand it. It's really not that bad.
Is there like a right in the middle where we have we have the tools that we get to do some fun stuff, but we don't have to worry about sort of the stuff outside the candlestick chart, or just maybe a few variables in there?
Yeah, I mean, I think just showing kind of the general mechanics of, the upgrade tree and how that works might be useful. So here we've you're kind of familiar. I'm at the very beginning of the game. You're familiarizing yourself with how all of these gameplay mechanics work. Margin loans is one of the first that you do, and you can take out a loan on margin where you have to pay it back. Again, risky, because if you're not able to make profits more in excess of the interest that you're paying, you're going to lose money. So let's skip the rest of this tutorial, and yeah, it's.
So where is that interest coming out from on the margin loan as you go?
It's coming out from your cash, or if necessary, if absolutely necessary, your holdings if you have no cash. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Are there any questions in chat? Like, I feel like I don't know what I'm sure there are about a dozen things I could have explained a little bit better than I did.
It's such an expansive game, and it's such a giant sandbox, and also it's an educational game. It's giving you all of these pieces and all of these tools step by step, which is super helpful. There doesn't seem to be any current questions in the chat, although we can absolutely, if anyone has anything, please throw it out. We'd love to chat about stuff. But yeah, I think, is the demo available now?
The demo is available now, and it's a free demo. It has about 10%, maybe a little bit less, of the upgrade tree and all of the different features, including, you can play with cryptocurrencies, you can play with ETF ultimately in the real game, not in the demo. It gives you a taste kind of the whole upgrade tree, and then you're able to wish list the full game, which will release in the next couple of months, depending on obviously the feedback we get from the demo and from the community at large. It's not. I know we've been hammering that this game is about completely stripping out all of the context that you would normally associate from investing. Like, you don't know what year it is, you don't know what the price of the stock is, you don't know what the name of the stock is, you don't know what the sector of the stock is. But that's not to say that it doesn't incorporate anything in that vein. One of the cool things I kind of like about this is, I'm gonna have to upgrade all real quick to show you, is all right, we have this biotech NSE stock, and what we're able to do is we can see over the course of the game, you unlock each thing piecemeal. So first you would unlock that it's in the medical sector, and that would give you another piece of the puzzle. And then it would give you the name of the stock, which is another piece of the puzzle. And then here you have this little newspaper icon. And if you click that, okay, in the real game, you don't. This is all. I'm simulating in a development environment, so this Google search isn't there. But basically what it allows you to do is it opens up a window where you can consult all of the articles on this stock before January 2nd, 2020. So you can incorporate, what pundits are saying about the stock that you're investing in,
And Chris, people in chat are asking what markets of input data are included, like S&P, NASDAQ, and does it include day trading data?
It does not include day trading data. I'm assuming that what the chat is asking, and please correct me if I'm wrong, does it include intraday data? Intraday. And it currently does not, and that is mostly due to size limitations. It's written. The game is written in such a way where it supports intraday data, and I've actually played around with intraday data a lot. But if we were to include intraday data for all of the 5,000 stocks that we currently have loaded into the stock section, that's not even counting ETFs and not even counting crypto, we would be looking at a binary in excess of 16 or 17 gigabytes. and right now it's about 2.3 gigabytes. And that's after optimizations. If that is something that doesn't bother players and that wouldn't alienate people, I would absolutely consider adding an intraday mode. It would be, I don't want to say easy, but it would be definitely doable since I've done most of the underlying work to support it. But halfway through development, we were just like, no one's going to want to download a binary. It's like 17 gigabytes of all this data and deal with all this intraday stuff. But it is cool, the idea of using intraday data, because it's a completely different approach. It would give you a completely new outlook, because demarcating day to day is totally different than demarcating every 5 or 10 minutes, because the fluctuations are just different, and the considerations are just different. So right now, to answer chat's question, it's every single day, every single trading day of data. But I really do want to add that feature in the future, if that is something that the community would like to see. So
very cool. And what markets of input data too are included?
So I took I'm trying to remember now. It's been so long. NASDAQ, S&P, and Dow for stocks. For ETFs, I would have to actually look at my notes. For crypto, I think I just took the top 2,000 based on whatever the market cap or whatever the metric they use. It's escaping me right at the moment. So the biggest players, and that's and so
it's a lot. It's very cool how many pieces there are.
Yeah. I know it seems intimidating, but we really spent a lot of work trying to design it in such a way where each aspect is digestible and given to you slowly over the course of a satisfying early act. And then once you get past some of the initial inertia, then it really gets fun, because then you can automate to your heart's content. You can build the robots, and then it gets to be a blast. So,
well, yeah, I mean, and we're very excited for everyone to play this. We've got the demo out there. We love hearing feedback on that. And the full game will be out in the next couple months. Are we doing another stream for Steam NextFest?
I don't know. Do you want to?
Let's look at this weekend, because it might be fun this weekend.
Might be fun. Yeah.
This is good. Everyone's been very nice.
Yeah.
I know we've got to wrap up soon, so I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who's been watching and supporting TradeBots. If you add to your wish list, we'd be very excited.
Yeah, and please drop us a line. Like, shoot us an email at info@Cinq-Mars Media. We love to hear from you guys. We really do. I just want to shout out. We've had somebody who has been playing the game on Steam recently, and they've been super helpful, showing me different bugs, because with a game of this complexity, you're bound to get quirks and bugs and oddities, and I hope that you guys are patient with that. But we're committed to fixing all of them and patching them. But the community so far has just been so helpful and so amazing when it comes to debugging and supporting the project. So we really thank you.
Well, Chris, you've made an amazing game. I'm really excited for this one. Again, we're Cinq-Mars Media. That's Christopher Cinq-Mars Jarvis. We're an educational games company. So please check out our other games too, and have a great Steam NextFest. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.